Hello, hello, this is Regis Kilbin, and today we're going to be talking about the Peekaboo Brightwing build. This build is designed as an anti-stealth build. If you're seeing a lot of Nova or Zeratul in Quick Match and you want to queue up with something you know can handle them, this is the build for you. If you see an early first pick Nova or maybe even a Nova Zeratul combo in Hero League, the Peekaboo Brightwing might just be the solo support answer for your team. So this build is all about maximizing your teammates' ability to stay alive and focusing that on one person in particular. So this is not kind of an ultimate heal build that will give you the best healing numbers across your full team. This is the build that helps you keep one particular person alive. So if they become the target for a Zeratul or Nova gank, you can save them. You have the ability to give them shields and some burst heals and some ability damage reduction that will keep them alive, even if it's someone really squishy like a Jaina or a Kael'thas. So for those of you who are a little impatient, let's just go ahead and run through the talents real fast. We're going to start with Hyper Shift, then Peekaboo, which gives this build its name, Phase Shield, Blink Heal, Shield Dust, Critterize, and Storm Shield. So those of you who have a few minutes to go through each talent and discuss the details and strategies and tactics for each of those. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So, at level 1, we're going to start out with Hyper Shift. Every time you heal a hero with your Soothing Mist, which is your trait ability that just goes off every 4 seconds, it reduces the cooldown of Phase Shift, which is your teleport, which you have in place of a mount, and it reduces that cooldown by 2 seconds. So the cooldown on your Phase Shift is 45 seconds inherently, and all this is a great ability that allows you to move around the map really well. 45 seconds is an awfully long time. So any way that we can reduce that cooldown, and here we'll watch us teleport to Malf real fast. Whee! We'll preview what's coming next. Anyway, if anything that can reduce that 45-second cooldown is pretty nice. Now, on its own, this talent is not particularly exciting, but you'll see how it synergizes with our next few talents, and then it'll start to make more sense. Specifically, at level 4, we're going to go with Peekaboo. Phase shifting to an ally reveals a large area around them and all enemies in it for 6 seconds. So this is really where the anti-stealth mentality of this build starts. This reveals a huge area. It says a large area. That is an understatement. The vision that this grants is insane. You can see the edge of the circle here. Starts here, it runs all the way over here. I mean, that is enormous. So that's going to reveal any Novas or Zeratuls, and it lasts for 6 seconds, which is pretty significant. Because your cooldown here is not always going to be 45 seconds. You know, it might be 25, 30 seconds, depending on how many people are around, maybe even like 15, 20 seconds if you're in a big group. So you're going to be able to reveal a huge area of the map pretty often, which is fantastic for popping out those sneaky Novas and Zeratuls who are camping, waiting in a lane. So even at level 4, it's great in lane. It's fantastic setting up objective fights, so you have full vision of any objective you're on, whether it be a temple on Sky Temple or maybe even a boss on Cursed Hollow. It's going to give you that extra layer of protection and map awareness. So that's where the anti-stealth mentality of this build starts, and it's so annoying for stealthies to deal with Peekaboo, but that's not where it ends. At level 7, we're going to go with Phase Shield. After finishing your teleport from your V, the target of your Phase Shield gains a 1200 point shield for 20 seconds. Now, we're at level 20, so those numbers are a little bit inflated than it would be at level 7, but let's look at the shield here that Malfurion's going to get when we teleport to him. Boom. So you can see it's maybe like 20% of his health total, which is pretty enormous. I mean, Brightwing here only has 3,200 health, and it's a 1,200 point shield. So it would basically take her to 4,400 health. So it's like a 33% shield for Brightwing, even more than a 33% shield actually. It's like a 40% shield almost for Brightwing. So you can see it's not minimal, it's substantial. And it lasts for 20 seconds. So you can set up fights really well with this ability. Now, it's often used in standard Brightwing builds to like buff your tank to give them even extra health when initiating a fight. But it can be used defensively on a squishy Say you're getting ready to enter an engagement, you don't see their Nova or their Zeratul, you got a Jaina sitting in the back line who has been a target all game. Use your phase shield on Jaina, take her from 3,000 health to 4,500 health or whatever it may be, and suddenly she has a much larger health pool, has a ton more flexibility with positioning, and can pump out more damage more safely. So it reduces the ability of Zeratul or Nova to impact your squishies in the back line. So you can even use it to discourage them from attacking that Jaina. So instead of Jaina, maybe they go for Rain or Vala, people who have a little bit extra survivability in their back line. So it gives you a little bit extra control and protection against those really high burst, single target, assassin stealthies. Up next is just pretty standard talent here with Blink Hill as our heroic. If you want to survive as a solo healer with Brightwing, you pretty much have to take Blink Heal. This is the only really strong, potent instant heal that you have. So when they jump that back line, you can immediately teleport over to your squishy and give them 500 health. So see, your phase shield does have a little bit of a cast time. You'll notice that when I click the button here, it's got that charge up bar. So it's not like an instant, oh my gosh, Jaina's almost dead, I have to save her. That's what your Blink Heal will be for. It is instant. So if you learn to balance those two and choose them at the right time, you'll have answers for most of the damage that your team takes. At level 13, we're going to go ahead and continue this theme by giving our allies a little bit more health and a little bit more protection with Shield Dust. This makes your Pixie Dust ability reduce ability damage by 50%. So by default, it just gives you block, which reduces basic attack damage. But Shield Dust here is also going to give you 50% reduction in ability damage. So like a Nova Snipe, which can hit for huge totals, is cut in half. Zeratul, he's going to open with an auto attack and immediately follow up with that cleave. Both are going to be cut in half. So you're just really taking the bite out of those stealth assassin attacks and opens if you use Shield Dust well. And even if you don't get it off on the right person right away, as long as you get it there soon, Zeratul is going to follow up with abilities, Nova's going to follow up with abilities, so you can really cut that down. It's also just good in general to mitigate things like AoE damage and just that chip damage that you or your tank might be taking. So Shield Dust is good against the stealthies and good in general. At level 16, we're going to go with Critterize. And this allows your Polymorph to make enemies vulnerable, increasing the damage they take by 25%. So it's a pretty popular talent in general. Bouncy Dust is also popular because it allows your Pixie Dust to land on 2 people. And that's usually really, really good for a defensive support-based Brightwing build. But we're worried about single target damage in this Peekaboo Brightwing build. So this doesn't really help us mitigate that single target damage. What Critterize allows us to do is when that Nova or that Zeratul pops out of stealth, they're usually trying to get away, right? They pop out of stealth, they do their little rotation of attacks, full cycle of attacks, kill a person, and then get out, right? Well, with Critterize, if that Zeratul pops out of stealth, guess what? You can hit him with a W, he's turned into a sheep or a crab or a squirrel. And not only can he not blink back away, using either Wormhole or Bolt or his normal blink, he's also vulnerable, which allows your team to burn him down instantly, as long as they're focused and paying attention. So anytime he comes out of stealth, he's taking a huge risk that he's going to be immediately polymorphed and just absolutely shredded by your team, with the inability to do anything in return, because Zeratul's entire game plan is getting in and then getting back out quickly. When he gets in, you're going to reduce his damage, and then he won't be able to escape quickly, completely negating him. He'll be almost useless. It's also good against Nova, not quite as good because it's a little bit harder to hit since she's a ranged character. Critterize is fantastic against Zeratul though, so if you get a Zeratul, for sure take this talent. And then finally for Peekaboo Brightwing at level 20, we're going to go with Storm Shield. Normally you'll see Revitalizing Mist at this tier, which just allows you to do a little bit more healing a little bit more quickly. But we don't care about returning health back so much as we care about preventing damage in the first place and giving our allies higher health pools. So Storm Shield essentially allows you to add on to that shield you get from your phase shift and give allies an even bigger health pool in the middle of fights. So it just negates every amount of burst damage that any enemy team composition can pull off. It's not just good against negating that burst damage, it's also just good in fights in general, giving your team more health to work with and a little bit bigger leash when engaging. So Storm Shield is not that common of a talent on Brightwing, but it really works well in this build. Since this isn't just about healing, this is about shielding and setting up engagements instead of lasting through them and sustaining. And that completes the Peekaboo Brightwing build. Just to run through those talents real quickly again, it's Hyper Shift, Peekaboo, Phase Shield, Blink Heal, Shield Dust, Criterize, and finally Storm Shield. I think this is probably the best anti-stealth support build in the game. So if that enemy team does get sneaky and pulls off that Zeratul Nova combo, Peekaboo Brightwing is a really good answer. It can be even better if you happen to have another kind of side healer with you, like maybe a Tassadar or a Tyrande or even like a Charism, to carry more of the healing loads. You can kind of assist with map presence and just health preservation. But this is a fun way to play Brightwing. It's a kind of a counter if you're getting frustrated in either Hero League or Quick Match when those stealthies seem to be controlling games. So it has a very specific purpose. I don't recommend playing it as your general build with a normal team composition. But when those stealthies come out to play, you can shut them down with Peekaboo Brightwing. Until next time, game on.